Warning, this may contain things you do not like. If you are a sensitive weeaboo, this may not be the video for you. Other people, I welcome thee.
Hello there everyone, Britt here, reviewing one of the worst manga I've ever read. Well, worst manga endings I've ever read at least. And that manga is called Vampire Knight. Now, let's just jump right into it, shall we? The story. Okay. Cross Academy is an elite boarding school with two separate isolated classes, the day class and the night class. On the surface, Yuki Cross and Zero Kiryu are prefects of the academy and attempt to keep order between the students as classes rotate in the evenings. As the night class is full of utterly gorgeous elites, this can sometimes prove to be a bit difficult. It is completely necessary, however, as those elites are actually vampires. Yuki and Zero act as guardians, protecting the secrets of the night class and the safety of their ignorant morning counterparts. As the adopted daughter of the academy's chairman, Yuki takes her job with a serious and energetic attitude. It also allows her to interact with her secret crush and savior, the president of the night students' dorm, Kaname. Zero, on the other hand, has a deep-rooted hatred against vampires, and at times does not hesitate to kill. Can vampires and humans coexist even in the strict setup of the Cross Academy? Only time will tell. Really, my anime list didn't get the whole premise of it to avoid spoilers, but this was just the first half of the story, the part where Yuki remains a human being. Oh, spoiler alert, but hey, you can leave at any time. Yuki turns into a vampire, but it turns out that she was actually born a vampire, but her mother took her memories and vampirism away from her so she'd have a peaceful, normal life or whatever. This, to me, is where it started to suck. Hard. After Yuki became a vampire, like literally maybe 2 pages afterwards, she became one of my most hated fictional characters ever. And I'll get onto that in a second. After her little transformation, the story stops focusing on the struggles of vampires and humans trying to coexist, and instead focuses on the stupid love triangle between Yuki, Zero, and Kaname. Yuki's awakening and getting her memories back is where the story takes a complete 180 for me and doesn't even feel like the same manga anymore. It just got really, really bad. I don't know why fans of this manga claim things like, "This is what Twilight should have been," when in all honesty, this manga was horrible. I only watched the first Twilight movie and read none of the books, but most people said it's bad. And in reality, if Twilight is so bad, then Vampire Knight is no better. And people who say it are either in denial or just distracted by how pretty Hino's art is. So the first half with human Yuki gets an 8 out of 10 for me, while the half with Vampire Yuki onward was trash and gets a 4 out of 10 for me. Moving on. Characters. Well, there's the heroine known as Yuki. When she was human, she took her adoptive father Kayan Cross's last name. When she turned back into a pureblood, a term used for vampires with literally no human genes in their lineage, and they live for eternity, vampires, she resumed her family name, which was Kuran. Now, I'm going to consider Cross Yuki and Kuran Yuki to be 2 different entities, since they literally felt like 2 different people sharing a body. Let's start with Cross. At the start of the series, I actually really liked Yuki, when she was still human. I thought she was a typical shoujo heroine, always wanting to help people, having a big appetite, and being too dense to realize the guy Zero likes her. I did think her crush on Kaname was a bit annoying, but hey, if some hot guy saved me from being mauled by a vampire when I was little, I'd probably have wet dreams about him every night too, but I digress. Yuki had no memories prior to Kaname saving her. Her mother, Juri Kuran, sacrificed her life to make Yuki human, but was adopted by Kayan, and she lost everything she knew in the process. Over time, this actually started to really bother her, not knowing anything about her past, and she begged Kaname to help her remember. This in turn caused Kaname to turn her into a vampire so she'd get her memories back. Now, this is where everything starts to go downhill, as I already mentioned, but I'll get back to Kuran Yuki after I finish the other 2. Zero Kiryu is a sexy emo who despises vampires. Since his parents were vampire hunters and his family was murdered by a pureblood, I'm sure you can understand why. But guess what? The same vampire who killed his family turned him into one, so he began hating himself. Yuki was a bit too dense to realize he was hiding this for what, 4 years? When she did find out, she literally became his fuel tank. She offered her blood to him whenever he needed it, and I'm just sitting here wondering how she was so full of that. She never ran dry. Then there's Kaname Kuran. Yeah, same last name. I'm getting to that. Hold up. I hated Kaname at first. Thought he was a manipulative, lying bastard. But after the Yuki turning vampire incident, I kinda started feeling bad for him. Let me explain why while getting back to Kuran Yuki. I absolutely despised her transformation, and here's why. Okay, so I'm literally copying this from another post I did a while back. Now, before you fangirls and guys start ripping my limbs off, let me explain why I hated these two things. These two things being Yuki and the ending to this manga so strongly. One, the way Yuki acted after she got her memory back. Now, I loved Yuki when she was human. She was nice, pretty, funny, and just an enjoyable character. But once she got turned into a vampire, all of my love for her was replaced with anger and annoyance. I mean, for one, the way she talked to Zero when she got her memories back was so mean and out of character for her. She knows Zero hates vampires because he was raised by vampire hunters, his parents were killed by a pureblood, and that same pureblood took his humanity and forced him to eat the remains of his younger brother. Yet she purposely went to his room and said, "I'm sorry, Zero, but the Yuki you know is gone, because the vampire Yuki completely devoured her."
On the other side of this door, I sense an arrogant pureblood who does nothing but toy with people.
Yes, Zero. I'm glad you understand. The Yuki you once knew is gone. Because the vampire Yuki completely devoured her.
Why would she say that to him? Like, really, Yuki? You know he loves you and hates vampires, so why would she say something so cruel to him? She could have had a nicer approach to the situation, like, "I'm sorry that I'm a vampire and I've been one this whole time. I didn't know about it and I don't want you to hate me, so can we talk this out?" That would have been so much better. Another thing that bugs me is after she said that to him, she left it at that and went to live with Kaname for 2 years. 2 freaking years she hadn't spoken to Zero. When she did finally see him again, he kissed her and confessed his love, yet she still cruelly abandoned him for incest. Oh, I can't forget the time she found out about Kaname's true motives in life, which broke her heart and sent her running back to Zero for help, saying she wants to be friends again. Nah, bitch! That's not how it works! I don't know, don't even get me started on the ending. Turns out Yuki threatened to kill Kaname alongside Zero, got rid of the only thing I liked about her, which was her long pretty hair that she didn't deserve. Instead of killing Kaname with Zero like she said she would, she has sex with him, leaving Zero alone again. Then Kaname sacrifices himself and goes into a deep sleep for 1,000 years after he reveals that he wanted Yuki to be with Zero all along. Kaname goes into his sleep, Yuki cries like a bitch, then runs off like a bitch. Zero confesses his love again, and says he'll wait for her whenever she decides to be with him. It takes her a while, but her pretty hair grows back and she's holding Kaname's baby. She gets with Zero, has a baby with him, then 1,000 years later after Zero's long dead, she sacrifices herself to wake Kaname up so she could be with Zero in the afterlife, leaving her kids with a man that had no memory of anything, Kaname. Therefore, he doesn't remember knocking Yuki up, so he does not know either of these kids, nor do they know him, since they were both raised by Zero, so they consider Zero to be their father, not Kaname. Then the story ends. I hate the ending because Yuki deserves neither Zero or Kaname, especially not Zero. She should have died along with Zero. And Zero should have got with Maria instead, and Kaname could still be asleep. That would have made a better ending in my opinion. This ending and Yuki were horrible, the decisions Yuki makes are awful. Look, I know the creator, Matsuhino-sensei, was probably just trying to please all her fans by having the protagonist get with both guys, but making her a useless, bitchy whore is not the way to go. I hope her next story will be a lot better because I love her art style so much, and I want to see it get put to good use, not on something like Vampire Night, something that started off good but ended poorly. And that's the end of my rant. Well, that's pretty much it. Of course, when I wrote this, I didn't really plan on reviewing it, but now that I'm a bit of a better writer, let me explain this to you more professional-like. Yuki's personality took a nosedive when she became a vampire, and literally the only likable thing about her was indeed her hair, which was too pretty for her to have. She seriously felt like a split personality from Cross Yuki. She was mean to Zero, like damn. She tells Zero goodbye and then leaves the school with Kaname. She lived with that crazy vampire for 2 years, and guess what? She was miserable almost the entire time. I know she loved Kaname, but she didn't have to leave Zero the way she did, or even at all. While living with Kaname, she was depressed, and usually jealous whenever seeing another woman touch him. She was starving for Zero, even though, like I said, she should have never left him in the first place, too. Oh right, when she got her memories back, she found out that Kaname was actually her older brother. Oh right, did I forget to mention that their family resorted to incest to keep their lineage going? Even their parents were siblings. Ugh. But wait, Britt, Yuki eventually finds out that her older brother actually died, and that Kaname is really her ancestor inside her brother's body. Okay, and that makes it better. How? It's still incest, and if anything, it's worse that he's her ancestor and not her brother. She literally slept and made out with her freaking 1,000-year-old grandpa. That's freaking disgusting. Also, Yuki had a baby with Kaname. Don't care what anyone says, but Kuran is Kaname's baby. Doesn't make any sense for it to be someone else's. Zero. And she got pregnant in one night. Kaname popped her cherry and she literally got pregnant in one night. What the hell, Matsurino? Care to explain how she got pregnant the day she lost her virginity? How does that work? Is that some vampire logic? Because you never explain that part. Yeah, and apparently there's this thing that, like, all the vampire hunter weapons were created from the remains of a vampire. What the fuck? I don't even remember. I think, like, Kaname sacrificed his heart into a furnace so he could be the next line of vampire hunter weapons. I don't understand. And while he was dying, he held Yuki and Zero close and told them, hey, since I'm dying, I want you two to be together instead. Since I won't be available anymore. Sorry, that's not exactly what he said, but it went pretty much like that. Kaname apparently wanted Yuki to be with Zero this whole time. Okay, so why did you make her suffer for 2 years, you ass? This ship could have sailed so far earlier on in the series. And guess what? Since Kaname gave them his blessing, Yuki, runs away since she still can't decide which guy she actually wants. Bullshit, I call bullshit! So yeah, Yuki ends up getting with Zero after Kaname gave her permission to do so. And after Zero begged... Wait a minute, Zero begged her to stay with him? The hell? Zero would never beg her for anything, not even her blood. Yet all of a sudden he decided, hey, Kaname's gone, now's my chance. What? No! It's not character development, that's character downgrading. That line felt so out of place for him that I can't even. And you know what? Yuki ends up living with him and having his child because Kaname wanted her to. Jesus Christ, even in death, this dude still has control over her. I don't care what anyone says, Yuki clearly loved Kaname more than Zero, and only used Zero as a replacement. Had Kaname still been alive, she would have still been living with him. Sure, the ending states that Yuki was happy with him, but there was literally a 1,000-year time skip. I'm sorry, but for all we know, she could have been thinking of Kaname the whole time while being with him. Just like how she was thinking of Zero almost the entire time she was living with Kaname. Since, I love them both and can't choose who I want is always a great excuse. So, yeah, Kaname's in a deep sleep or whatever. Yuki was living with Zero, and Zero was raising his enemy's child, Zero and Kaname hated each other. Mostly because they were fighting over Yuki's affections. No way in the world am I gonna raise the child of someone I despise. Kaname indirectly killed Zero's family, yet he's okay to raise his child. How about no? So yeah, Yuki lives with Zero and has a baby with him. She had a baby with both guys, and then, Zero dies of old age or something, and Yuki goes up to Kaname and resurrects him as a human, the way her mother did for her, sacrificing her life and literally leaving her children with him. You guys see a problem with this? I sure do. A few, actually. Why in the world would Yuki leave her children with a man who literally woke up with amnesia? These kids grew up with Zero being their father, and Yuki just expected them to start calling Kaname father or some crap like that? And to top it all off, Kaname is alive again, except these few problems. You know, kinda gotta raise these kids even though you don't know them, and you'll most likely end up the way Yuki did, wishing you remembered your past and suffering because of it. I know Yuki gave him a second chance at happiness, but really, he lived long enough, and actually wanted to die because living forever was too painful for him. Why the hell would you bring him back? He would have been happier dead. Oh, the ending was god-awful. Yuki, in the end, was worse than Katniss Everdeen in terms of picking who she wanted to be with. Because in the end, she still did not choose. Why would anyone want to be with a girl as indecisive as her? Zero deserved better, and Yuki deserved to die. I would have been so much happier had Zero ended up with a girl who actually loved him for him, and not as a replacement for someone else. And considering Zero is my favorite character, he seriously deserved better than what she gave him. Matsuri Hino's favorite character is Kaname, but that doesn't mean she had to push Zero into the dirt and break his character like that. I'm glad he was happy, which is what really mattered to me. I just wish some other girl could have made him happy, instead of Yuki. Sorry for going on this little rant, but the other characters really aren't worth mentioning, since they kinda got forgotten and pushed to the side to make more room for Yuki's stupid indecisiveness. In all honesty, I kinda wish Hino would have focused more on the background characters, specifically Rima Toya and Senri Shiki, instead of that broken love triangle. Not much else to say except that Sayori, Yuki's best friend, and Ido, Kaname's bitch, started liking each other in the side stories. Their love literally came out of nowhere since they gave two shits about each other beforehand, and apparently there's a cure for vampires to make them human, which has a giant question mark slapped at the end of it since it also came out of nowhere, and I had no idea being a vampire was a freaking disease now. Anyway, sorry for spending so much time on this, but the characters, when Yuki was human, gets a 7 out of 10, afterwards a 3 out of 10. Art. Well, damn. Not much to say except Matsuri Hino has some of the best art I've ever seen from a manga artist. Her art is very different from what other manga artists do, in my opinion. It's very beautiful, and she puts so much detail into everything she does. The hair, well, geez, it actually looks like hair. She takes her time with each freaking strand, and she is one artist who inspires me greatly with my own works. Heck, if Kill Annie animated the anime for Vampire Knight, it probably would have been the prettiest thing I've ever seen. Combining Matsuri Hino with Kill Annie might result in brilliance. Just wish she could have put this gorgeous art to good use. So the art gets a 10 out of 10 for me. It's just that freaking good to me. Overall enjoyment. Well, first half, Human Yuki gets an 8, while the second half, Vampire Yuki gets a 4. So, would I suggest this manga? Well, no. I mean, I'd suggest the first half, but if you hate idiotic, useless, indecisive main leads, then this isn't the manga for you. I've read some of Matsuri Hino's other works, such as Maru Pari, Captive Hearts, and some of her latest manga, Shuriken Till Pleats. And I gotta say that Maru Pari is currently the best manga I've read from her. It's better than Vampire Knight, so I suggest reading that instead. I think the author just wanted to please both sides of the debate in this Vampire Knight fandom. The Ziki, Yuki x Zero fans, and the Yume, Kaname x Yuki fans. But really, if it was possible to split their bodies and minds in half, since apparently there's a cure for vampires, this wouldn't have surprised me. I'd think Human Yuki should be with Zero and Vampire Yuki should die. Be with Kaname. Yuki would seem like less of a whore then. But since that did not happen, I think Zero would have been better off with someone else. I think he's been through enough heartache, don't you? This is Britt signing off, and please don't chop off my head, Vampire Knight fans. Love ya.